Hey, hello there, and welcome everybody. So, as I'm sure everyone is well aware, the developer update for Dead by Daylight dropped a few days ago, and there was an update to this kind of update blog, and they kind of posted a lot of more news about like meta perk changes and non-meta perk changes. So I kind of wanted to just read over this developer update and provide my thoughts on it and sort of like conduct a brief analysis. So let's just go ahead and like analyze this. During our 6th anniversary broadcast, we announced a new progression system and a meta shifting perk overhaul. We're thrilled to say that both initiatives will headline the upcoming mid-chapter. That's great to hear. From the onset, it was important for us to release these changes as a package. Our objective is to shake up the current meta, provide alternatives, and make perks easier to earn. We are also careful to consider the reason why this meta exists and address any base game issues it may have been concealing. Oh, very interesting. That's really awesome. So yeah, that's an important note to make. So like the reasons for why like Borrowed Time, Decisive, Dead Hard, and perks like Adrenaline and stuff like that were so prevalent in the meta for Survivor may have been due to some base game issues. And as I think most of the community would agree, it was due to base game issues like generator speed, and also just because they were just functionally those perks were very strong themselves. Like Dead Hard would basically behave as a third health state in really competent survivors. But yeah, anyways, so in this post, we will be detailing the upcoming changes, all of which will be available for testing in the public test build next week. That's super exciting. That's amazing to hear. Okay, so let's move on. Overhauled Progression System. Collecting all perks has been an important goal for many players. However, since both the number of perks and characters are constantly increasing, the grind expands at an exponential rate with every new chapter. To address this, we're completely overhauling the way perks are earned, adding new rewards, and making completion easier than ever before. Oh, thank God. Because as someone who's trying to create content right now, and I love builds, like I love creating builds for certain killers. I've been wanting to do a Dissolution Plague video for the past, few weeks. Like just whenever Dredge dropped and I got like a kind of, I guess not a few weeks ago, so it was 2 weeks ago. But when I looked at Dissolution, I was like, wow, this perk seems super interesting. I want to make this build on Plague because I feel like it'd be really, really cool on Plague. I've been putting endless amounts of blood points into Plague and I've never got Dissolution, so that's going to be great to see. Let's see. So this is the comparison section. In the current system, you must reach level 40 on a given character to unlock all their teachable perks and then find those perks in the blood webs of every other character. And that's just, for those of you that do not know. Whew, that is such a grind. Anyways, in order to unlock all the new perks on every character by the time next chapter releases, you would need to play an estimated average of 4.1 hours every day. With this new system, that estimate decreases to an average of 1.01 hours each day. That's not even factoring blood point bonuses from events, perks, or offerings. Wow. So that's roughly 25% of the grind. So they're cutting the grind down by approximately 75%, just over that. Honestly, that is a massive quality to life change. Like quality of life change. Trying to find a specific perk is a nightmare on a killer, especially if you've just prestiged and you lose all of your perks and you have to go through that grind again. Like you have to hit 50 again and then search for those perks. Like if you're trying to prestige 3 your killers or your survivor, that's a nightmare. It's absolute nightmare. It's so many blood points, so many hours of work just going to locate perks so you can actually play the game the way that you want to play the game. It's very frustrating, very, very time consuming. Like I have close to 2,000 hours and I still don't have all perks and all killers, which is insane to think about, right? Unlocking perks. The teachable rarity is no more. That's great. Now perks are tied directly to prestige. Oh, prestiging a character for the first time will instantly unlock the tier 1 versions of their unique perks for all other killers or survivors, making them immediately available for use. I love the sound of that. That sounds phenomenal. Prestiging a character for the second and third time will unlock the tier 2 and tier 3 versions of their unique perks. Alternatively, higher tier versions of their perks will appear randomly in blood webs once the first tier has been unlocked. So basically, if you hit the tier 3 versions through prestiging for the third time, those randomized variants, like the higher tier versions, will not appear randomly in the blood web. Okay. Say you prestige the Trapper. With this it will instantly unlock the tier 1 versions of Agitation, Brutal Strength, and Unnerving Presence on all other killers. Tier 2 and 3 versions of these perks will now randomly appear in the blood web. Prestiging the Trapper again will make the tier 2 versions of these perks immediately available, and so on. That's awesome. I love the sound of that. So this way, yeah, you'll only need to earn the perks once, and then you can instantly use them. That's so nice. Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay, so there's another header about prestiging here. No more resets. I love the sound of that too. Because I went through a period of time, personally, where I unlocked all of my perks on a killer, and I kept them at, not even Prestige 1. Like, I didn't even Prestige. Kept them at level 50. Earned most of my perks just so I could make builds and stuff like that. And then I was like, I really want to prestige my killers because I feel like I'm going to be playing this game, indefinitely. It's like for basically the remainder of the lifespan of this game. I'm going to be continuously playing it. I'd like to prestige because, it's just a thing you can do in the game. It's a sense of progression. It's fun. And then, once I actually proceeded to do that and I lost all those perks, I was like, I actually have to, I've just reset everything. I have to go back and get everything again. So let's just read on this. Let's see. Prestiging has always been a bit of a dilemma. Do you give up everything for bragging rights, or do you keep what you have to minimize the grind? Now that prestiging is the main way to unlock perks, we wanted to make the choice clear. Prestiging character will no longer remove their perks, items, add-ons, or offerings. Perk slots will also remain unlocked after prestiging. With no reason not to prestige, prestiging a character is no longer optional. After reaching level 50, you will receive a special blood web with only a single node. Purchasing this node will increase your prestige level and increase your character's level to 1. And reset your character's level to 1. Okay, that makes sense. This is very logical. It makes a lot of sense because, yeah, as they said, that conflict between prestiging and not prestiging is no longer going to exist. So this makes a lot of sense. With prestige now being the main way to progress, it will no longer be impressive to have your characters maxed out at prestige level 3. It only made sense to have a new way to recognize our most committed players. So we've increased the prestige limit to 100, but what would more prestige levels be without rewards? Reaching prestige levels 4 and 5 and 6 will now award that character's bloody prestige cosmetics. Okay, fair enough. Now, prestiging for the first 3 times awards perks. It only makes sense to move these higher. If you already unlocked these cosmetics, don't worry, we won't be taking them away from you. You've earned it. The completionists, prestige levels 7, 8, and 9 will grant one of that character's unique perks as a charm. Oh, that's awesome. I like that. We also want to highlight your dedication to your favorite characters no matter how many times you prestige them. Once the trial is over, your prestige level will now be shown in the space previously occupied by grades. Oh, that's cool. Those who spend millions of blood points stockpiling add-ons to your favorite characters will now have a way of showcasing your hard work to the world. That's hilarious. Yeah, so I definitely play like Blight, Trapper, Doctor, Huntress like more than other killers. So it would be really nice to kind of showcase that because I love those killers above others. But I do like the other killers too. But like it's really nice. That's awesome. Okay. Shrine of Secrets. Unlike before where the Shrine of Secrets would offer teachable perks that then needed to be found in blood webs, the Shrine will allow you to purchase perks directly. Purchasing a perk through the Shrine of Secrets will make the tier 1 version of it immediately available in all killers or survivors. Much like Prestige, subsequent tiers of that perk will also begin appearing in blood webs. You may also purchase a perk again to increase its tier. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I was curious about that too when I was thinking about the unlocking it through killers because I have a few perks unlocked through the Shrine of Secrets, and I was wondering how that would actually work. That's really interesting. So transitioning, let's see here. With many spending hundreds, if not thousands of hours playing Dead by Daylight over the years, we want to make sure that everyone is rewarded fairly. When the system releases, we'll be automatically rewarding existing players an appropriate number of prestige levels based on how many perk tiers they've unlocked. If you left all your characters at level 50 and focused on unlocking perks, your work won't be for nothing. That's very considerate. That's extremely considerate because I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people who's left a lot of my characters at level 50 and just focused on unlocking perks. Like my Ghost Face has, I think, almost all perks unlocked, but is at level 50. I did reset a few characters, which I'm kind of bummed out about now, but it's fine. Look, I'm on copium. It's fine. It's okay. We'll deal with it. Those who reach Prestige 3 before the update will receive a special Prestige icon to recognize their achievements. Oh, that's nice. That's kind of nice. And commemorate the perks and add-ons they lost in the process. That's fair enough, yeah. Yeah, matchmaking has been a major focus over the past year, and we've maintained that throughout year 7. Though many of the changes are planned to improve wait times and match quality, there are variables that we can't control through code. Chief among them is the distribution of people playing each role. If there's simply not enough people queuing for one role, the matchmaker's ability to create quality matches suffers. Being an asymmetrical game, Dead by Daylight works best when there's roughly 4 survivors for each killer. If this 4-to-1 ratio deviates too far, matchmaking time and quality will start to degrade. That's very, again, intuitive, right? And I feel like as it is, there's like at certain times of the day, you have a lot of people playing Survivor. Like in the evenings, I find a lot of survivors are online. And then throughout the day, I feel like it's a lot of killers or less survivors. I'm not sure exactly which one of those two things it is, whether it's like more killers or if it's just simply less survivors. People are out working and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but anyways. If too many survivors will cause the survivor queue times to increase, while too few survivors will cause the killer queue times to increase. To complicate things further, this ratio varies greatly depending on your region, rating, and time of day. In some regions, we've observed an excess of survivors queuing, while in others, too few. Oftentimes, this will change over the course of the day. That's as I just mentioned, yeah. So how do we go about improving this? Enter incentives. So I'm guessing this is just a blood point bonus. Yeah, that's what I figured it would be. Whenever the number of killers to survivors differs too much from the ideal ratio, we'll offer a blood point bonus to anyone who opts to play the needed role. This bonus ranges from 25% to 100% depending on the demand levels. That's really considerate. I really appreciate that too, because I personally play much more killer than I do survivor. I have played my fair share of survivor, but I prefer playing killer. It's just I like being more engaged with the game. I find with Survivor, it's much more casual than Killer. I like being more immersed in the game and having to focus intensely. So that's why I play a lot more Killer. That blood point incentive may actually compel me to play the other side a little bit more. I don't think it will. I think I'll still be playing Killer regardless, but, you know, it's interesting, though. We believe these matchmaking incentives will improve both queue times and the matchmaker's ability to create quality matches. I love the sound of that, because sometimes I know, like, especially when they're doing the MMR tests, sometimes I would be getting, you know, matches where there'd be, like, very inexperienced new survivors, and other games I'd be having sweat squads, like 4-man try-hard squads, all with meta perks. Like, it was crazy. And even outside of MMR testings, I feel like there would be so many occasions where I would feel like I would be going against very high-ranking survivors, like very competitive, very competent, talented survivors. And then other times, like the next game, I would load in, and it would be people who were just figuring out how to navigate the world of Dead by Daylight, just how to vault windows properly, how to actually initiate fast vaults, hit skill checks. I was like, this is so peculiar to me. But anyways, gameplay updates. Okay, I'm really excited for this one. I'm really excited for these gameplay updates, because like they said that they were dealing with like some base like underlying base issues with the game. Is this what they're talking about in this header? Maybe. Let's read and find out. Let's see. Some of the most consistent feedback we receive centers around the perk meta. A handful of perks have a dominant usage rate, especially in higher skill matches. Naturally, the gameplay can feel stale when you see the same perks again and again. In the past, we've addressed individual perks through various updates, but the odd meta change is not enough to shake things up. In this update, we are reworking and rebalancing 39 perks, meta included. For those of you who do not know, this is unprecedented. Like, there have been patches for perks, and like biggest one that comes to my mind was Old Nettle of Man. That perk was so broken on release. If you don't know about it, look it up. It's crazy. It was absolutely broken. But anyways, things along the lines of patches and small buffs, small nerfs here and there. Like to individual perks, maybe a handful of perks, like 2 or 3 here or there, but nothing like this massive reworking here. This is excellent to see. I'm really elated to see that. So, because as they said, like the meta for both sides has been really stale. Like Dead Hard's been meta since the game's release. Like it's been the go-to exhaustion perk since release. It's been insane, right? Recently for Killer, on the Killer side, we've had Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance, we've had Pop Goes the Weasel, Barbecue sees a lot of play, Ruin and Undying particularly paired together, and then Corrupt Intervention, obviously can't go without mentioning that one. That basically sees play all the time. Like that's just like a go-to perk. It's insane. So I'm really excited to see what kind of changes they do to the meta perks in particular, but I'm also equally as excited to see what they do to the non-meta perks, because if they can make them stronger to the point where they can test with like predominantly used meta perks, I would love to make builds out of those. That'd be so cool. Anyways, we aim to reduce the reliance on the current meta while also providing many new options to experiment with. Love the sound of that. Before we can make meaningful changes to the meta, we need to look at why these perks are so heavily used in the first place. Okay, this is a huge point here. Analyzing why perks are used so heavily in the first place. So for instance, like regression perks, like Ruin, Pop, Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance, Jolt, all those kind of things. People, and Call of Brian, if you want to include that one too, because I think that one's pretty good too. If you want to include those all as regression perks, people use those because of gen speed, because gen speed is ridiculously fast relative to the killer's objective, which is killing all 4 survivors. That's why gen regression is so popularized by killer mains and even people who pick up killer who are just watching YouTube videos, so like how to play killer. A lot of people will just recommend slap on gen regression perks or gen slowdown perks like Thrilling Tremors, Corrupt Intervention, Deadlock, like things like that just allow you to play the game with greater ease. So yeah, that analysis of actually looking at why these perks are meta is so critical. Like just simply identifying that they are meta is insufficient. Analyzing why they see so much play is so critical. So let's see here. While some perks are popular because of their strength, others are popular because they reduce the likelihood of an unfun situation. Yeah, so that would be like things like Borrowed Time, Unbreakable, Decisive. So there's like the anti-camp and tunnel perks. I think that's what they're talking about. Because I know when I queue up with my friends to play Survivor, we all run borrowed time because we don't want to be in the situation where someone's being camped to death. It's really like bland and stale and very boring. It makes for a really boring game because you're put in that situation where it's like, okay, we either all rush the hook and trade and then basically throw the game, or we ignore that our friend is on the hook and then just try to rush through gens as fast as humanly possible to get out and make and ensure that all of us, like as many of us, can live. So it's a bit of a predicament. So I definitely agree with that analysis too. Therefore, we prepared a few baseline changes to address some of these core gameplay issues. Okay, let's dive into those. Let's see. Okay, so the first header is generator speeds. Didn't expect to see that. Okay, well, I don't know. Well, let's see what this is going to say before I get too excited. 1 second. When looking at the perks used by most killers, here's a very clear trend. Any perk that helps prevent generators from being powered, slowdown perks for short, are favored. Corrupt Intervention, Pop Goes the Wheel, Scourge, Hook Pain Resonance, and Hex Rune are a few notable examples. And each are amongst the most popular perks. Yeah, okay. Shocker, right? Many players feel like generators are powered too quickly without these perks. And so we knew we needed to look at generators before making any perk changes. Okay, I like where this is going. Slowdown perk should be an option, but not the only option to stay competitive. I love that because I spent a lot of time trying to make blight builds that didn't use any form of slowdown. And granted, I'm not the best blight player. Like, I'm not Lilith Omen. Like, I'm not. Shout out to Lilith, by the way. I love Lilith Omen so much. He's a great guy, great content creator. Love him. Anyways, I'm not a cracked blight as Lilith is. Not even close. But I'd say I'm competent. So I tried to make like a decent build that didn't revolve around any slowdown, and I just found that there were like obviously certain teams that were just so highly ranked, so competent, and so aware of their aware of the meta perks and aware of tiles, and they had just such a profound knowledge of the game that even if I played insanely well, there was no hope of me actually getting 4 kills or even close to 4 kills or even 2 kills sometimes, because it was just like, wow. So anyways, first and foremost, we've increased the time it takes to power a generator to 90 seconds, up from 80 seconds. That's pretty huge. That's huge. 10 seconds is a lot of time. That's 10 seconds between 5 generators, right? So that's in a minimum an additional 50 seconds to the trial. That's not including any sort of regression that you inflict as the killer or including any slowdown perks. So that's significant. That's really significant. Okay. The time it takes to complete a generator hasn't been changed in a long time, but it's clear that they're being powered quicker than we'd like. By slowing them down slightly, we hope to give the killers a bigger window to interrupt survivors, particularly at the beginning of a trial. Yeah, because every killer is weakest at the beginning of a trial. That's why Corrupt sees so much play. You have no snowball. You have just a snow bank. You haven't rolled it into a ball yet. That's the problem right now. Second, kicking a generator will now instantly remove 2.5 of the maximum progress. Okay, but have they removed gen tapping though? This is a good addition, but I still hate gen tapping. Like, I hate that killers have to go through the animation of kicking a generator. Now at least there's a reason to. Now you immediately regress it by 2.5. That's really nice. But really, what is that in terms of time? That's what, roughly 2 seconds of speed, right? Because 1% of 90 is 0.9, right? So that times 2 is 1.8 times 0.5. That's like 2.3 something seconds, right? So that's not that significant, but it definitely helps. I wish that survivors, in order to repower a regressing generator, would have to go through a brief animation, even if it was like a second or something, just so survivors couldn't just tap it in a millisecond and then be off of it. But anyways, this change makes kicking generators more meaningful, even if a survivor stops it from regressing shortly after. Additionally, survivors now must decide whether they should tap a generator to prevent regression, as allows the killer to kick it again and knock off even more progress. I don't think that's too significant because, again, they can just tap it and run away, and then killers have to waste more time kicking it. Like, they can just work on separate generators, so I don't feel like this is too relevant of a change. I think it's a nice quality of life change. I don't think it's going to be that significant though. Like, I don't feel like this feature is going to be that significant. The first thing of the increased time of John generators, that's huge. That's huge. Like, that is amazing to see. I love that, because I feel like 80 seconds is too fast. 90 seconds is still like fast, but it's definitely significantly better. And I feel like you have a much greater time frame to actually deal with survivors in chase. Like, if I take a chase and I end it effectively, like I end it quite fast, I feel like I'll have that 10-second window will let you get to another generator and interrupt survivors there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're actually awarded for playing chase as well, rewarded for playing chase as well. Whereas before, you could play a chase extremely well, but even if you do that, there's no hope to get into the generator because the gen speed is too fast, especially if there's 2 people on it, right? This is 80 seconds is including one, that's one person. That's one person on a generator. If there's 2, I think it was 44 or something like that. So like that's only including one person. If there are 2 people on that, and even if you're doing chases really efficiently, like against top players, you're rarely going to have a chase that lasts less than like, that's going to last less than 30 seconds. Like you're rarely going to have that. Like maybe on the off chance you will if you're able to snowball really fast. But yeah, but anyways, my central point is that 10 seconds may actually allow you to end a chase relatively quickly and interrupt people on generators. So that's awesome. General killer improvements. Okay, let's see what this is about. The average kill rates, how many survivors are killed each trial on average, are a little lower than we'd like. A sentiment echoed by many community members. So this is especially among certain killers, I would say. Like, I think an important thing to notice here is that this would be for certain killers. I feel like for more powerful killers, like I think primarily like Nemesis, Nurse, Blight, Pyramid Head, I would even argue. I feel like their average kill rates would be pretty high, but worse killers like Myers, Clown, Trapper, I feel like their average kill rates are pretty bad. So if they're generally improving killers base kit, let's see what this is about. To ensure the killer feels like an unstoppable force to be feared, we're making slight improvements to many aspects of killer gameplay. We reduced the time it takes to break walls and pallets by 10%. Okay, that's really nice too. That'll make things like Brutal even better as well. Because I found even when I run Brutal, sometimes I kick a pallet and they can make it to another one. I'm like, what is the actual point of this perk? You can create dead zones more effectively, I guess, but like it's not actually giving you a chase advantage, to be honest. Anyways, generators can be kicked 10% faster. While these changes may seem small, a fraction of a second can be the difference between hitting a survivor and them reaching an next pallet. I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. That's a nice quality of life thing. I don't think it's going to be substantial. Like, I don't think it's going to be significant, but it will also reward good play as well, because you can zone people by pushing them on certain tiles. Like, you can push them away from the pallet and make them try to loop it again, and then you can kick it out to force them to be in an unfavorable spot. So that might be pretty significant for that, but I think overall, it's not overly relevant. Let's see. Next, we've reduced the cooldown for a successful basic attack by 10%. Now, that's pretty significant. And reduced the duration of the survivor's speed boost upon being hit by 10%. That's nice. That's really, really nice. I love that a lot. That's fantastic. Because a lot of the times when you're in a 3-gen situation, if they know what you're doing, especially when you're playing a killer that's very territorial like Trapper suffers a lot from this because they can just take a hit and run to the other side of the map. And then you can't do anything. You're forced to go over there. And then the other 3 or other 2 survivors, if you've killed one of them, or maybe the other survivor can just go sit on the other side of the map where the generators are and work on them. So, like, I think this will definitely help with us. And then I'm also curious to see how this is going to work with Save the Best for Last. Like, have they changed Save the Best for Last because of this now? And have they adjusted Brutal because of the reduced breaking time for walls and pallets and generator kick speed? Like, I don't know. We'll have to take a look. We'll see. We haven't gotten to perks yet, but we'll see. Finally, we've tweaked Bloodlust to increase in power quicker than before. In most cases, Bloodlust does not activate, although there are rare cases where it can be necessary. The long buildup often leaves the killer in a bad spot if they eventually get a hit. We're adjusting Bloodlust tiers to activate after 15, 25, and 35 seconds of chase rather than 30, 45 seconds. So this isn't huge. Like, this really isn't huge. I feel like if you're chasing for 35 seconds and haven't got a hit, or you're needing to get Bloodlust, I feel like you're not playing killer effectively, if I'm being entirely honest. Like, I don't think I ever go to Bloodlust 3. Ever. So this isn't significant. This is insignificant in my mind. I don't think this is relevant. Camping and tunneling. On the survivor side, there's a clear preference for perks that grant a second chance. Borrowed Time decides to strike dead hard, and perks of that nature, like Unbreakable, will be the next one I mention, that help a survivor avoid certain death, leading to an extreme usage rate. A benefit of these second chance perk is how they help prevent unfun situations. Yeah, true. Namely, being camped or tunneled out of the game. In order to incentivize a meaningful change to the meta, it was clear that we need to address these controversial tactics. Second chance perks should be nice to have, but not essential to use in order to ensure enjoyable gameplay. Okay, that makes sense. Moving forward, survivors will receive a 5-second endurance effect after being unhooked. Oh, so it's Basekit Borrowed Time. Okay. I actually agree with this. I think this is a lot of... I think this will be a lot of fun for the survivors and killers because it'll promote killers to be better at the game, so they don't camp people and tunnel them out. I think this will be actually like very nice. It's an incentive to attack other survivors and spread damage. I think it's really nice. And for survivors, obviously, you don't have to worry about running Borrowed Time and occupying a perk slot with that. So then I'm guessing Borrowed Time probably just extends this back to like the 10 or 12 seconds or whatever it was, and maybe confers another advantage. I don't know, because I don't see what Borrowed Time would do then if this is Basekit now. Okay, we'll see. This gives the unhooked survivor an opportunity to reach a nearby window or pallet, or for another survivor to position themselves for a protection hit. Nice. Additionally, the unhooked survivor will receive a 7% haste effect for 5 seconds. Okay. This will make them harder to catch and encourage killers to shift focus to unhooking survivors. That's good too. That's really good. Both effects will be canceled prematurely if the unhooked survivor performs what we now call a conspicuous action. These are interactions other than being chased that would improve your chances of survival. This includes repairing a generator, healing yourself or others, cleansing or blessing a totem, sabotaging a hook, unhooking others, opening an exit gate. Okay, that's respectable. That's respectable. So it gives you chase advantages, basically, but if you try to repair a generator in a killer's face, you can't use that 5-second window to just, like, run away. Like, if you unhook, immediately hop on a generator, use the haste to get to a pallet, like, that's not something you can do. Okay, that's good to see. That's good to see. That's very good. I really like this change because now killers are compelled to chase other survivors and actually engage other people in chase, which is super nice. It also, I think it'll just promote better quality players in general. Like, I think that if you're forced to be in chases more often as killer, you'll learn how to deal with chases and actually handle chases a lot more effectively. But if you're a survivor who hasn't really get into chase often, with these changes, you'll be targeted by the killer more, because like the general targeting will be more opened as killer. Like as killer, you'll tend to take chases with the whole team, as opposed to targeting certain like weak links out, which is really nice, because I think in general people will get more practice being in chase as survivor, and killers will also have more practice being in chase with various survivor skill levels. So that'll be really interesting too. I think it'll just promote better play from both sides. I really like that. Meta perk changes. For this update, perk changes fall into one of two categories: meta perks that are used too often, and non-meta perks that serve a similar purpose but aren't used as much. I almost wish they would be also considering the non-meta perks that are absolutely useless, like Monstrous Shrine and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, the non-meta perks that are similar to like other regression perks. So I guess like Jolt is like not considered a meta regression perk, but it's like similar, but it's just like, I guess, arguably worse and irrefutably worse than other more prevalent regression perks. But I almost wish they would look at things like, yeah, like Monstrous Shrine and like other perks that absolutely like see no play whatsoever, because they're like terrible, or Territorial Imperative, or like, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. But anyways, I guess I'm asking a lot. Like, I mean, there are reworking 39 perks, so I'm very satisfied with that. Like, don't misinterpret that. I'm not being ungrateful. I express my utmost gratitude to the fact that they're reworking 39 perks. It's like, I guess I wish they would kind of be tweaking the perks that are like absolutely useless. But anyways, I understand that many of you have grown attached to your favorite perks and loadouts. Unfortunately, shaking up the meta inevitably leads to a few changes. Rest assured that our goal is to provide alternatives that align with your preferred playstyle while widening the scope to include more viable perk options. Okay. Reasonable. It was also important to note that not every meta perk is equal, and each was considered on a case-by-case basis. So what are Dead by Daylight's meta perks? By referencing both community feedback and internal data, we can see that some of the perks stand above the rest. For killers, Barbecue and Chili, Hex Ruin, Pop Goes the Weasel, Corrupt Intervention. Yep. I absolutely agree with that. Tinker. Oh, there's more. Tinker, No One Escapes Death, and Scourge, Pain and Resonance. I wouldn't say Hex, like No One Escapes Death, is meta. And I wouldn't say NOED is meta. I just think it's used very, very often because it's a mindless perk. You can throw it on and it's insanely strong. It gives you exposed and a movement, or it inflicts survivors with exposed, and it gives you a movement buff for doing absolutely nothing, for failing to do your objective. You get rewarded for failing to do your objective. I'm very excited to see what the NOED rework is like. I'm hoping it rewards you for playing well. Like with each kill or with each hook, you get something, because it kind of also plays into the No One Escapes Death kind of thing, where it's like you're becoming a more menacing threat as you're, dominating more and more. So let's see here. For survivors, Dead Hard, Borrowed Time, Decisive Strike, Iron Will, Self-Care, and Spine Chill. Self-Care? Really? Self-Care? I don't consider self-care to be meta at all. I mean, I don't think in this day and age it's really strong. I think medkits are like significantly a much bigger problem than self-care. And with Boon Circle of Healing, it's just replace self-care. It's strictly better, in my opinion. Because you're granting self-care to the whole team with a healing boost. So it's just strictly better than self-care. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Can we get some comments in the section, like comment section down below? What do you think about self-care being like deemed a meta perk? Yes, no? What do we think? I would say no to that. But anyways. We'd like to share these graphs showcasing the 10 most frequently used perks for both roles. These charts alone do not explain why the meta exists. For that, we turn to community feedback, but hopefully they provide context for how heavily these perks are used. Oh my gosh. Look at Dead Hard. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Look at Dead Hard. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. That's crazy. So this is saying percentage of loadouts on the y-axis. That's almost 75%. What does this number at the bottom mean here? Like, what's the x-axis? I'm kind of confused by that. Is that number of matches? No. That's the thickness of this, is what I'm gauging, I guess. This x-axis is pretty unclear. But I'm guessing it's number of matches on this axis. I don't know what these are representing. I'm not entirely sure to interpret this graph, but what I can see here is that Dead Hard's pretty prevalent. Borrowed Time is pretty prevalent. What is this dark one? Decisive Strike. I'm guessing this is the number of matches that are played, so the greater the number, the more matches that are played. Yeah, so you can definitely see that, like Dead Hard is a very prevalent perk. Like, that's very clear. I wonder what the killer one looks like. So we have Barbecue is, I'm assuming this one. See, but I honestly, I don't even think Barbecue's super, like, is it good? Yeah, undeniably is a good perk. I think it's primarily used because of the blood point grind. I think that's influencing it for sure. And also check out the y-axis difference as well. Like, that doesn't go, like, this looks like it's more common than Dead Hard, but it's not. That's 50%, the other one was 75%. This is definitely interesting. There's ruins there, going to about, what is that? Just over 35% of all loadouts. I mean, even that is insane, right? Like, what is this pink one here? Is that Pop? I'm gonna assume that one's it's Corrupt Intervention probably. Pop is the teal one. Yeah, then that's bordering over 30%. So yeah, checks out. All right, let's see these changes. This is what I came here for, if I'm being honest. This is why I clicked. I thought they changed perks. I'm so excited for this because I'm a builds kind of person. Let's see what this is. So, without further ado, killers. Let's see it. Killer perks. Let's see it. Barbecue and Chili. Current effect. Upon hooking a survivor, see the auras of distant survivors for a short distance. Gain a stacking blood point bonus for each unique survivor hooked. Perk is incredibly popular, not because it's particularly powerful. Yeah, that's just what I said. Yeah. So this perk is incredibly powerful, incredibly popular, not because it's particularly powerful, but because of the huge amount of blood points it provides. Choosing to go into a match without it massively slows your progression. See, and just to speak on this, there's a lot of times when I'm playing like Doctor or I'm playing other killers and I have Barbecue unlocked and I have like my defined build. There's a lot of times where I debate just taking off a perk that I believe to be strictly better to put on Barbecue just because of blood points. Like, I don't care about the aura reading. I don't care about it at all. Because, like, on Doctor, you get so much information. I'll use Doctor because, like, this is the one I think of, it, like, for the most. Doctor provides you with so much information just with his base kit. I would never run Barbecue on Doctor. I don't think it's a particularly good Doctor perk. I do run it very frequently on Doctor because of blood points. And the times in which I do take it off, it's because I simply just want to run the perks that I want to run, as opposed to trying to achieve more blood points per trial. And so, like, that's this statement right here. Like, that, I think everyone can relate to that. If you've played Dead by Daylight and wanted to get, like, moving in terms of progression and wanted to accumulate blood points, you would understand this conflict. Like, this statement will be so relatable to you. Like this here. This will be so relatable to you. We do not want blood points to be the driving factor behind perk choices. So we will be removing the blood point bonus. That's really logical, especially considering the reduction in grind that they are also implementing. So yeah, this is a perfectly fine change. Oh, I understand this change may seem shocking. Please keep in mind that this update reduced the grind by about 75%. Yeah, so yeah, that's okay. That's perfectly acceptable, yeah. We believe this is a necessary step in making other aura reading perks more appealing, as blood point gain will no longer be the deciding factor. Yep, I totally support this change. Perfect. Now, if they weren't fixing the grind, this would be, like, ludicrous. But again, they're tackling that base issue of the grind being horrible in this game right now. And that's the most important thing. So them removing the blood point incentive with this perk is perfectly acceptable, and I fully support that. Hex Ruin. Current effect. Generators regress automatically at an increased rate. The survivor is not working on them as long as the associated hex totem is standing and lit. Okay, so I believe it's 200% regression as it is for level 3. So let's see what the change is. A massive part of Ruin's appeal is not having to stop and kick generators, as well as the ability to passively regress them from a distance. These aspects make Ruin a unique slowdown perk, so we're not looking to change them. Okay? To bring Hex Ruin in line with other perks, we're reducing the regression speed to... Wow. Wow. That's a huge nerf. Reducing it to 50, 70, and 100%. So they're halving it. Wow. After a survivor is killed, Hex Ruin will automatically deactivate. That's not that big. I think that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Because that gives other survivors other chance to survive, which I think is reasonable, to be honest. Because you're already, as a killer, you're already dominating if that's the case. If they haven't cleansed your Ruin and someone is dead, you've basically won that game already. Like there's very little chance that you're gonna not kill all 4 survivors that game. But wow, reducing it by half. Does that even mean it's viable anymore? Like, I don't play with Ruin. I don't like Ruin as a perk. I never have liked Ruin. Like, even old Ruin, I never really appreciated because it was just kind of like, you throw it on and it doesn't really do work for you. Oh, sorry. It does do a lot of work for you, but you don't have to actually, like, actively work to get that perk to generate value. It doesn't, like, by itself. It was just, you slap it on, the game's easier for you. I didn't really like that. I figured it wouldn't teach me to be a better killer. That's why I never really ran it. So, yeah. Halving it, I don't know if it's still viable. So reducing the regression speed to 50, 75, 100. Does that mean like 100%? So like double the normal regression? No, that means 100% like standard regression is what I'm assuming that means. Okay. I still think that's pretty garbage. I don't think I would ever run this. And I think people who run the current Ruin run it because it doubles the regression. Like, I think the fact that they're halving it and reducing it to like the normal regression rate is like renders this perk completely useless. I think the appeal is just gone from this. I think this is going to be completely useless now. Because like stopping to kick a generator, like if I'm running Ruin versus running like, let's say Pop, I don't know how they're changing Pop, but let's say Pop, this new Pop works similar to the old Pop. I would never run this new Ruin if like this current Pop works in a similar way to the old Pop. Let's read it. 1 second. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Current effect. After hooking a survivor, the next generator you kick within the time limit instantly loses 25% of its total progress. I also don't understand why they nerfed the time. I was like, oh, with this perk, like it used to be a minute, it's now 45 seconds. I hope they kind of like increase the time, but like reduce the amount of regression. I'd be okay with that. Pop Goes the Weasel gives killers a controlled way to remove significant progress from a generator of their choosing. Given that kicking a generator now removes 2.5% of its progress by default, we decided to tone down some of the numbers to compensate. This perk will now remove 20% of the generator's current, not total. Oh, current, not total. Okay, so if you kick something at, let's just like think numerically here. If you kick something that's at 50% progress, it will reduce it by 20% to 50. So that would be like down to 40% instead of being down to 30%. Yeah, that's significantly worse. Right? That's correct, right? Because it would be 50%. 10% of 50% is 5%. It reduces it by 5%, and then times 2 because it's 20 is 40%. So typically when you kick something at 50%, it would reduce it to 30%. Or, well, I guess before the like when you're talking about this, if you're talking about this current change, because it's saying now like 20% of the current progress, not total. If it was referring to total, it would be 50% to 30%, which is a huge jump. I think what it means by current is 50 to 40%. If someone could confirm that for me, that would be great. But I'm pretty sure if I'm interpreting this correctly, that's what it's referring to. Yeah, that's a huge nerf. Yeah, and then so that's saying this change will make Pop Goes Weasel very effective against generators that are nearly done, but weaker against those with a small amount of progress. I think this perk will still be very good. Like, I think this is still, like, solid. Because gens that aren't progressing very much, I never really cash in current Pop on those anyways. I always go to try and look for a generator that has more progress. Because I think it's a waste to use it on ones that are, barely progressing. So I don't think ultimately this will change that much of how the perk is used. Because if a generator is at around 80% and you kick it, that is a total reduction of 16%, because that's 20% of 80, which I believe is 16%. So it'd be down to 64% progress. So I could see that still being good. I still think that this is a pretty significant nerf. I think they may be overestimating how much the 2.5% kicking a generator is going to come into play. I don't think it's going to be that significant, to be honest with you. Now, does the 2.5% apply and then pop also applies? Like, does that stack? So do you get the 2.5% reduction and then it's 20? Or is it... Yeah, that's how that would have to work, right? Because the 20% is based on the current progress, whereas 2.5 is strictly referring to the total. I think, right? So, yeah, it'd be interesting. We'll have to test and see how that works. Anyways, we'll move on to Corrupt Intervention. I think that pop is going to be significantly less good now, obviously. But I still think it's going to be viable. Like, I still think it's going to be used a lot. At the start of the match, 3 furthest generators are blocked for a while. This perk makes the beginning of a match more manageable, forcing survivors to extend deeper into the map before repairing a generator. We aren't looking to change this aspect. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Because, like, I think fundamentally that design is fine. I don't think that's broken. Moving forward, the perk will deactivate once the survivor enters a dying state. We believe this change will keep Corrupt effective in helping the killer build early game pressure while providing a limit to its power. Yep. I think that's an acceptable change. I thought they were going to reduce the duration, personally. I think reducing the duration is also fine. But, like, deactivating it once you get it down is pretty good, too. That's kind of reasonable. I think that's reasonable. But I also don't know if I like that. I think I'd rather would have preferred like a strict duration limit. Like if they were cutting it down from, I think it's 2 minutes the way it is now. Yeah, it's 120 seconds. That's 2 minutes. If they'd cut that down to like 90, I think I would have preferred that as opposed to once you down a survivor. I really dislike that because it's like, I feel like you should be rewarded for downing somebody early. So if you still have that set duration, you can still capitalize on that early game pressure that you're building because you're playing well. Or you're outplaying the survivors. Whereas they're getting mercy for you playing well by your perk deactivating sooner than it should. So I don't know if I like that, but like I can see why that nerf will be more of a balance. I don't know. We'll see. I think that's pretty good still. I think it still will I still think Corrupt will still see a tremendous amount of play. I still think it will stay as an S tier perk. I still think Corrupt will stay as an S tier perk. I don't see this being viewed as bad now or like mediocre even. I still think it's very strong. I'm sorry if you hear crunching. I'm just chewing a lozenge just because my throat is very sore. I teach swimming, so my voice is used a lot. So if you notice I'm stuttering or struggling to speak properly, it's just because like my voice is under a lot of strain. So pardon me. Anyways, current effect. When a generator reaches 70% progress, receive a loud noise notification and become undetectable for a short duration. Yes, Tinker is a popular choice for the information it provides. Being able to prevent a generator from being powered is a game changer, particularly on killers with high mobility. It can, however, become a little oppressive when paired with certain regression perks. Yes, Pop and Tinker are disgusting together, and Tinker and Ruin are brutal together. I like facing killers with high mobility that have Ruin and Tinker is very hard to overcome. As a survivor, you're essentially forced to find Ruin or else you're doomed. Therefore, Tinker can now only activate once per generator, but with the base charges increased to 90, killers will have extra time to approach. Oh, base charges of the generator. Okay, I understand now. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think that's reasonable. So you're getting only 5 procs per game. Or a minimum of 5 procs per game because they could be working on multiple generators that reach 70%. I think this is fine. Like this is fine. Like I still think you can get a tremendous amount of significant value from Tinker proccing like only once per gen because you could sneak up over there, potentially grab somebody off a gen, or even just chase them off and get an insta down potentially if you're running an insta down killer, or even just like cutting them off that progress. I still think this is worth running. I don't think this will make it significantly worse to the point where people just refuse to run it. I think it'll see less play, but I still think it's good. Current effect, when Exegator powered, all survivors become exposed as long as the associated hex totem is standing. This perk makes for a very effective comeback tool, although it falls out of favor in high skill games. We like the way Noed encourages survivors to preemptively cleanse totems, so we're not looking to weaken its direct strength. Instead, survivors will now see the hex totem's aura within 4 meters upon activation. This range increases to 24 meters over the course of 30 seconds. Okay. I think this is I still dislike this. It definitely does give survivors more of a chance to negate this perk. I just don't think this is converting the perk to a healthier state still. It definitely makes it more weak, which I think it definitely needed. Like, I'm all for these changes. I just think I would have gone about changing them a different way. I think maybe it's like when the last generator procs, like when the last generator, is completed, maybe it would be like, for every, like, if you have fewer hooks, you get a bigger buff. I think that would be interesting. So in case you're getting absolutely floored, you can come back. Maybe that would be an interesting way to look at it. But, like, I don't like perks that reward you for playing badly. Like, I don't like the premise of that. But I guess it was designed to be a very effective comeback tool. So I think if I was to rework this perk, I think I would try and make it where maybe they get a slight haste, like killers get a slight haste bonus for getting, like, I don't know, like 4 or less hooks, and and the survivors get inflicted with exposed, like they get haunted grounds or something like that, or like a shorter haunted grounds, and the killers get a like a speed boost, if the survivors are hooked 4 or less times or something like that. If there are 4 or less hook states achieved. And then if there's like an intermediate, maybe you lose the exposed, but you still gain the haste. And then that haste lasts until the totem is cleansed. Like, I think there would be a more interesting way to balance this perk, but I don't think these changes are horrible. And I also think that, like, the increase to 24 meters is fair enough, because you'd want to find the no-ed, but I don't think this is addressing the fundamental issue with this perk. Because why this perk is used is just for people who camp and, like, just, you know, are not playing well. They just slap it on and hope it'll, like, redeem themselves. Like, hope it will redeem their bad playing throughout the duration of the trial. So I don't think it rectifies that problem, to be honest with you. I think the way that they could try and do it is maybe, or instead of making it where it's less hooks you get a buff, the more hooks you get throughout a trial, or like the more hooks you get throughout a trial. I was thinking an idea for this perk would be maybe to, like, if survivors finish generators within a X number of time, they get punished for rushing generators so fast. But that would deter survivors from doing their only objective. And I don't like the idea of that either. So, I mean, I think maybe, like, while I dislike the idea of being rewarded for not playing too skillfully or not performing well, I think that if you get a buff for less hooks, I think that would be pretty acceptable. Or if you have, like, less, like X number of hooks and you don't have a kill, you get the buff. And maybe it slows down gates, it gives you haste or something like that. I don't know. That'd be really interesting to see. Anyway, so Scourge Hook Pain Resonance. Current effect. Upon hooking a survivor on a Scourge Hook, the generator with the most progress explodes, notifying the killer and instantly losing a large chunk of progress. A large chunk is 15%, I believe. The most recent addition to the meta, Pain Resonance allows the killer to remove a sizable chunk from the most progress generated simply by hooking a survivor. A loud noise notification also allows the killer to disrupt the survivors before they continue repairing. A jack of all trades of sorts, granting both a powerful regression perk and crucial information. Yep, agreed. With that in mind, we are removing the loud noise notification. Instead of exploding, the affected generator will now spark upon losing progress, and survivors will no longer scream. Yeah, and that's the same thing. Like this. This was easily countered already by survivors just waiting until, like, the hook animation starts for the killer, because you see the aura of that, and then just briefly getting off the generator so that they don't scream, and it just sparks. And then the loud noise notification happens. So I think this is a perfectly acceptable change. This is fine. And, like, I still think people will use this a great deal, because you could even run barbecue, like, as well as pain resonance, or you could run it with, like, surveillance or something. And then that would be a good combo of perks too, because it gives you that information too. And surveillance is generally good. And if we're kicking generators more often now, because of that regression, like that immediate regression, maybe surveillance will see more play too. Like, I don't know. I still think it'll see a high degree of play. All right, survivor meta perks. Let's see this. Dead Hard. Current effect. When activated, become immune to damage and dash a short distance. Dead Hard is by far the most used perk by survivors, and it's easy to see why. In the right hands, it acts as a third health state. Yes. I'm very excited to see what these changes are. Like, I'm on the edge of my seat right now. Allowing a survivor to escape a situation where they would otherwise go down. There are 2 main ways that Dead Hard is used: to dodge a hit and for distance, to get to a nearby pallet or window. In the latter case, there's not much a killer can do. Therefore, Dead Hard will now provide the endurance effect for 1 second when activated. If you time it right, you'll prevent the hit and get a movement speed boost. This is an excellent fix. Because I remember my biggest conversation with my friends was that it was either they need to remove the distance benefit, like bonus that you get from it, or remove the temporary invulnerability. This is a great fix because you actually have to time your dead hard based on when the killer is going to be swinging, and there's less of that opportunity to dead hard for distance. I think that was the biggest problem, was that survivors could bait you into trying to think that they're going to dead hard by like running into you or running near you. And then as a killer, you can't swing because if you swing and whiff and they do actually pull their dead hard, they get to something. But then if you don't swing and you respect it, they can kind of navigate towards another pallet and then dead hard for distance toward it. So it was kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I really think this will be like much better because if you outplay survivors at tiles, because there's so many instances where as a killer you outplay a survivor at a tile because you either perform a really good mind game or you use your killer special ability really, really well and you like outposition them. But then all of that hard work and complex technical skill that you go through, like I'm just assuming like in certain situations, like technical skills, like, you know, like pulling up a hatchet at the right time, or, you know, rushing really well with blight, or, you know, blinking well with nurse. All of that can be negated by survivors just hitting the E button on their keyboard. And that's where the meme comes from with like the E sound effect. That's where that comes from, right? Because they just outplay you by just hitting E. And that's why outplay in quotation marks, right? So yeah, I think this is a good fix for this. I think this is a great fix, in fact. The only issue I could foresee is if they activate it like right before a vault or something like that. Like if they hit the activation right before a vault, because then you have the endurance effect for that 1 second. I could see it being obnoxious in that case, like right before a vault, maybe. That might be a problem. So they might have to tweak the perk where it's like, if you activate it and then it's active while you vault, it negates it. Because that would be really obnoxious, because then you're putting a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, right? Where it's like, they're literally immune while vaulting through that window. I mean, 1 second is not a long time. I don't know how long a window vault animation is off the top of my head. But if they activate it right before going into that animation, like that coupled with resilience and spine chill might be a problem, right? Because they might be able to hit the whatever it is, the active ability button, like E, before they go into the window, vault the window, and still be immune while going through the window. So as the killer, you have a problem there. Like if it's shack window, for instance, let's say you outplay them. They're at shack window. They're going for a vault. They hit E to guarantee they make that vault. They go to vault the window. If you don't hit them, they make it through the window, and then you have to go back around through shack and stuff like that. Or you hit them and they have the endurance effect, and they burn their perk, but they get to live. It's a get out of jail for free card again. I don't think it's as problematic as the current state of Dead Hard, but I still think that may be a potential issue that may arise, but we'll have to see. Okay, Decisive Strike, I don't know. I don't think it should be nerfed. I don't think Decisive Strike should be nerfed. Hopefully it's a buff. Like, as a killer main, I'm like, I hope this is a buff, because, like, please don't nerf this perk anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's been nerfed to the ground already. Like, Jesus. Current effect. After being unhooked, Decisive Strike activates for a long duration. When picked up, hit a special skill check instantly, or a special skill check to instantly wiggle free. Deactivates when used or when performing various actions. One of Decisive Strike's main appeal is its efficacy at preventing tunneling. Yep. In light of the upcoming base game changes, we expect Decisive Strike to drop in uses slightly. For the most part, we find the perk to be healthy for the game and easily avoidable for killers who choose not to tunnel an unhooked survivor. Yep. That said, at the end of the match, there's often nothing the killer can do to prevent a survivor with Decisive Strike from escaping. Yep. That's a big problem for sure. So that's referring to, obviously, at the end of a trial, like when a survivor is unhooked by another survivor, if they have Decisive, they're basically out. Because, like, they can make it to a gate before 60 seconds expires. And if you down them, you're not going to wait out the 60 seconds. Like, they can just crawl towards the gate, or like their teammate can pick them up. Like, you're basically like doomed at that point. Moving forward, Decisive Strike will deactivate once the exit gates are powered. In addition, the stun duration has been reduced from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. This feels nice. Like, this feels like a nice quality of life change to this perk. Because especially if you have an end game build, it's like you don't want to deal with a bunch of Decisive Strikes after all the generators are done. But yeah, I think this is reasonable. I think this is a reasonable adjustment to this perk. I'm glad that they're not like nerfing like the duration of like Decisive Strike or anything like that. This seems like a very like well thought, conscientious adjustment to this perk. So I think this is fine. I think this is good. I think this is a good bit of adjustment, like a good bit of improvement to the perk. Because yeah, that end game situation is super frustrating as killer. Like, it's super frustrating for sure. And like, it does give you that sense of like, I don't want to say narcissism, but arrogance as a survivor when it's like, I'm basically impervious. Like I have my decisive strike. I have like, my unbreakable. If I'm unhooked, I'm out. Like that feeling should never really exist in like a 4v1 asymmetrical horror, quote unquote horror game where there's like a menacing killer chasing you. Like you should never feel like you're completely immune and totally safe. So I kind of agree with that. Like I think this is fine. I think this is a good change. Let's go into borrowed time here. So since borrowed time is gonna be base kit, I'm assuming this is just buffing that base kit bit. I'm guessing like that, like 5 seconds of endurance and haste. I'm guessing it just like prolongs that a little bit more. And like, yeah, that's what I would assume, right? Much like Decisive Strike, this perk gets much of its popularity by granting counterplay against a camping killer. Considering a lighter version of Borrowed Time's effect has been added to the Survivor's base kit, we need to update the perk accordingly. Borrowed Time will now extend the duration of the endurance effect of unhooked survivors by 6, 8, and 10 seconds, and increase the movement speed bonus duration by 10 seconds for any survivor you unhook. And then these effects will be canceled if the unhooked survivor performs a conspicuous action, which was covered earlier. Yeah, okay. While the overall duration with borrowed time is longer than before, we expect that having a lighter version in the base kit will cause the usage rates to drop. Yeah, I feel like this is a reasonable change as well. Like, I don't see any problem with this. So, like, now the duration of the endurance effect will be, I guess if you have level 3, that'd be 15 seconds, and increase the movement speed by to a total of 15 seconds. That's fine. Like, I don't see an issue with that. Because, again, they're trying to promote the mentality of not tunneling off the hook. And if you're fearing like borrowed time or even just the base kit, you should respect the base kit as a killer. I mean, you can wait the additional time, but like, I feel like if you're waiting out the base kit borrowed time of like 5 seconds, you're not understanding how to properly play this game. But even then, it's like, it'll be even more challenging to catch up to that person because of the haste bonus. So yeah, I mean, I feel like all in all, this is a pretty good adjustment. This is a pretty good change. Iron Will, let's see. They're really changing Iron Will? Like, really? I'm surprised by that. I don't think Iron Will is strong, like it's super good, but I don't like, I mean, it ruins Spirit. Like it makes playing Spirit miserable. But aside from that, I don't think like it does make tracking really hard. But that's the whole point of the perk. Like if you're willing to dedicate a perk slot to complicate killers tracking, I feel like that's fine. Anyways, moving on. In fact, makes your grunts of pain silent. This perk allows skilled players to mind game more effectively in many areas by silencing grunts of pain. To address its high usage rate, we're lowering the grunts of pain to 25, 50, and 75% respectively. Additionally, Iron Will is no longer active when exhausted, though it will not cause exhaustion itself. Honestly, I feel like that last bit's kind of needless. I think that last little bit is... I feel like this is an excessive nerf, to be honest. Like, I don't think that it should deactivate when you're exhausted. And I honestly don't know if this perk really needed a huge nerf. Like, I mean... For Spirit, it is miserable, so like maybe in that case it should. And yeah, it enhances your mind games, and yeah, it prevents tracking. Like it doesn't prevent tracking, but it reduces the effectiveness of tracking. Reducing it by 25% feels like a lot, if I'm being honest. Like yeah, this perk is like bothersome, but I don't think it's like game breaking. Like I think it's just a really good perk. Like is 75% even worth running? Because then you can still like occasionally hear them. So, like, I feel like there's no point in really running it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. Like, 1/4 of the amount of normal, like, grunts of pain. I don't think this perk's going to see much play anymore, to be honest. Because, like, if you could still hear, like, there's no point in running Tier 1 Iron Will. Like, there never was a point in running Tier 1 or Tier 2 Iron Will because of this exact reason. So, I don't think this perk's going to see play anymore. I think this may have just killed Iron Will. Like, I don't think we'll see it anymore. I don't think Iron Will's going to be, like, a thing that people run. Because, again, you have to remember, like... This isn't just some sort of like passive effect that a survivor gains. It's a whole perk slot, right? Like it's conferred by a perk. So like to dedicate a whole perk slot for a perk that isn't even like going to provide you with the full advantage it used to, I don't see that being worthwhile. Like you still being audible to the killer. Like yes, it's less periodic, but you're still audible and you're still able to be tracked a lot easier. So I don't understand. I don't think this is going to see nearly as much play. Okay, self-care. I don't understand what they're going to be doing to this, but let's see. Unlocks the ability to heal yourself without a med kit at 50% speed. I think self-care is a terrible perk, like in terms of survivor. So is this a buff? Let's see if it's a buff. Although self-care has a divisive reputation among the community, divisive reputation among the community, we were surprised to find that its usage peaks in the highest skill matches. Really? Having a consistent and reliable way to heal at will is a powerful tool in the right hands. On top of that, self-care increases the efficacy of medkits, allowing survivors to squeeze additional heals out of them. Due to its strength, self-care's heal speed will be lowered to 25, 30, and 35%, and the item efficacy bonus has been removed entirely. Really? This feels needless to me. honestly, as like someone who plays killer, this seems really needless to me, especially with boons. This seems really needless. Like, this seems like it's nerfed to the point where like it's now unplayable. And like this would be really like, honestly, if I was a survivor and saw someone self-carrying, this would be really frustrating for me. Because I personally hate the people who just go to corners and self-care. Like, it's just such a huge waste of time. Like, get your teammate to heal you, honestly. Like, it just, I don't know. In my brain, it's like that just, it's more efficient that way than healing yourself independently. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But like this healing speed of 35%, bro, I don't even remember how long it takes to stick a standard heal. I think it's like, what, 16 seconds? If your teammate heals you, right? Is that correct? I think it's 16 seconds. So 35% additional on top of 16. Like, that's a long time. That's more than double. That's more than 32 seconds to heal yourself. That would be what? Like, that's a really long time. That's like over 35 seconds, right? Close to that. That's a long time to heal yourself. Wow. So I think that this perk's garbage now. Like, I mean, it was bad before. Like, I personally thought this was bad. But, like, now it's just like, that's terrible. That's so bad. I think it was used for the efficiency bonus on medkits, to be honest. I think that's why it's seeing play at high levels. Like, they were surprised to even see its usage peaks in highest skill matches. I think it's because of medkits. I don't think it's because of the actual self-care ability itself. I think it's because of medkits. Or maybe even 99ing a heal. But, like, I don't know. I don't think this, like, reducing the speed is, like, I think it's just nerfing it to the ground. I don't think this perk needed a nerf at all, to be honest. I mean, the item efficiency maybe needed to go, but, like, that's maybe the most of it. Let's see Spine Chill. Current effect activates when the killer is nearby and looking in your direction, increases action speeds and this chance for skill checks. This perk excels at alerting survivors when a killer is approaching, and in high skill lobbies, the vault speed increase becomes the primary draw. There are a few aspects of this perk we'd like to clean up. Spine Chill will now only activate if the killer has a clear line of sight to the survivor. Okay. This will remove the awkward counterplay where a killer must look away to ensure a stealthy approach. Next, we'll be adding a short 0.5 seconds lingering effect to Spine Chill. This will prevent the perk icon from flickering when the killer looks around and makes the action speed boost more consistent. Okay, got it. Okay. Finally, we'll be removing the vault speed bonus entirely as it does not suit the perk's nature. Yeah, fair enough. Reasonable. I think that seeing through the walls is kind of important. Like activating when the killer's looking through walls is pretty nice. I honestly don't think they should have removed that. Like, that was like that was kind of the big appeal of the perk in my books. I know there's like the vaulting speed. That was like that and the vaulting speed were the two biggest points of appeal. So like with a clear line of sight to the survivor, you can just see the killer coming anyways. Like this seems pointless. This seems very pointless. Like, so now what I'm saying by this I mean the perk. Like in this updated state, this perk seems pointless to run. Because if they have a clear line of sight, you can just see them coming. Like, you can use your eyeballs. You know what I mean? Like, this just seems ridiculously bad now. And then removing the vault speed, I guess because it's not with the flavor of the perk. Like, it's not exactly accurate to Spine Chill, because Spine Chill is supposed to be used to hide. But then they've removed the primary reason why you'd use it to hide. So I'm confused. I feel like this perk's just garbage now, in my humble opinion. I feel like it's just garbage now. I wouldn't see any reason to use this perk ever. Like, why would you not just use Premonition at this point? Like, I know Premonition's like a meme. It's like not good. But like, is now Premonition just not Spine Chill? Like, in terms of the stealth, is it not just Spine Chill now? You know what I'm saying? Like, this just seems bad now. This seems garbage. Anyways, in my humble opinion, I think Spine Chill's garbage. Like, this new updated version of Spine Chill is terrible. I think it's just awful. But moving on anyways. Non-meta perk changes. With so many meta perks being changed, we wanted to make sure that everyone had something new to look forward to. We've updated 25 additional perks to try out, the majority of which fulfill a similar purpose to the meta perks listed above. Okay. I was hoping that they'd update some more of the garbage perk that see no play, but let's see. Let's go through them. I see Overcharge, Eruption, Knockout, Calorophobia. Okay, I'm excited. Let's see this. Okay. Overcharge. Along with its current effects, Overcharge will cause a kick generator's regression speed to grow from 100 to 400% over the course of 30 seconds. That's nice. Oh, that's nice. Survivors want to stop this generator from regressing as soon as possible. That's so nice. That's like Call of Brine on crack. That's so nice. What the heck? To 400% over the course of 30 seconds. I mean, 30 seconds is a pretty long time. But like, if you've just hooked somebody who is soloing a gen, you can walk back and kick that gen and it'll regress like nothing. That's pretty good. Like, new Overcharge seems pretty solid. That seems decent. And then you also get the skill check on top of it. So you get the information. That seems pretty good. That's pretty decent. I'm not going to lie to you. That seems pretty good. I don't think it's going to become meta. Because, I mean, you can, at top high level, you're hitting that skill check. And, like, they would be pretty aware that you have it. So I don't think it would be super amazing, but it's definitely an appreciated buff. I think it's going to be good. It's definitely better. I like there's additional regression, and if they don't tend to that gen and potentially don't give you that information through the skill check, they're punished for it. That's pretty nice. Eruption released with fairly safe numbers, but upon reflection, we're comfortable with increasing them. We've upped the generator regression penalty to 10%, and the duration of the incapacitated effect to 15, 20, and 25 seconds. Okay. That seems pretty good. I mean, I haven't used Eruption very much, or at all, to be honest with you, because I don't actually have Nemesis. I know what the perk does, but I don't. It's hard for me to grasp. I've never used it, so I don't know how these numbers will translate, so I can't really speak too much on this, to be honest with you. Knockout. Those of you who like to leave survivors on the ground can have a little more peace of mind. In addition to its current effect, Knockout will cause dying survivors to crawl 50% slower for 15 seconds and reduce their recovery speed by 25. Okay, I mean, I don't see that shifting the meta too much. Like, I don't see Knockout becoming... It's definitely a buff, obviously, because it does more than it previously did. I don't see anybody opting to use Knockout over other perks in the game now. Like, I mean, unless you're doing a specific slugging build, but even then, I wouldn't throw Knockout on, even in this updated state. Let's see this. Chlorophobia. To make healing the killer's areas even more unappealing, Chlorophobia will now increase the speed of skill checks by 50% on top of its current effect. That doesn't seem relevant at all. That seems very irrelevant. Oh, what the heck? Dark Devotion's getting a change? What? This perk is great for confusing and sneaking up on survivors, but the basic attack requirement makes it unappealing for certain killers. Yes! Are you kidding me? Dark Devotion will now activate whenever the obsession loses a health state. Are you kidding me? Oh, I'm so hyped about that. Get out. Oh, I'm running this on Blight now. I'm 100% running this on Blight now. Oh, I'm 100% throwing this on. Oh, yes, I'm so excited for that. That's sick. So you can proc it all even on your Trickster daggers too as well. Oh, and like your Shred with demo. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad that they changed that. Dark Devotion, for those of you who don't know why I'm freaking out right now, Dark Devotion is hands down one of my favorite perks in this game. The fact that it's getting a buff, oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And like I thoroughly believe that this perk, even in its current state before this buff, is so good still. And now that it's getting a buff, oh, I'm on cloud 9. Oh man, Dark Devotion is sick. Okay, anyways, Jolt. Jolt allows the killer to regress generators simply by downing a survivor. To make it more consistent and punish careless survivor plays, we have removed the cooldown. Oh, let's go. I still don't think... Okay, because Jolt, for those of you who don't know, it procs on basic hits. I don't think it should proc on basic hits. I think they should have done the same thing that they did with Dark Devotion to Jolt. But the fact that they've removed the cooldown, pog. I also love that too. To make it more consistent and punish careless survivor plays, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, there should have never been a cooldown on this either. Lethal Pursuer. Oh, you like aura reading, huh? On top of the existing effect, Lethal Pursuer will now extend the duration of all aura reading effects by 2 seconds. What perks would that affect? Barbecue is the one that I can think of. All aura reading effects. Nemesis? Like, what else procs aura reading? That's interesting, though, because now it's not a dead perk throughout the remainder of the trial. Like, you get the additional information at the start, and it stacks with itself, so that's kind of nice. Dude, honestly, that's pretty cool. I would have to... There's definitely something you can do with that, like a build you can make with that. I don't think that's gonna like shift the meta dramatically. I just think that's a nice buff. Scourge Hook, Gift of Pain. This perk also shipped with Schaefer numbers, so we'll be increasing the action speed penalty to 10, 13, and 16%. Yeah, okay, cool. Like that. I mean, this perk doesn't really see much play as it is, but I think it's doubled. This seems like it's doubled the number, I think it's 8 the way it is. So doubling it's kind of nice. Is that a monster? Oh my god, it's Monster Shrine. Oh, they're changing it to a Scourge Hook. They changed it to... Okay, I'm not even going to read that. Yeah, I saw that and I got so excited. Okay, 1 second. That's hilarious. I mentioned Monster Shrine earlier. That's so funny. I'm so excited for that. But yeah, back to the Scourge Hook Gift of Pain. I don't know if doubling it's going to even make it relevant. Like, I don't know if this is actually, like, helpful. I don't know if this will see more play or not. Maybe slightly. Like, I still think Sloppy is better than this. Because at least Sloppy you can apply with hits. So you can hit them and walk away. This you have to get it down, hook them on a Scourge Hook specifically. I don't think this perk will see play. I think in terms of healing and like that kind of regression there, I feel like, and slowdown there, I feel like Sloppy's just strictly better, if I'm being honest. Thanatophobia, another quick one. We're increasing the action speed penalty. Oh, they're increasing action speed penalty? I thought they'd be nerfing this. Really? Because for Legion and, like, Plague, this perk's obnoxious. And I have people complaining. I don't think it's broken. I know that a lot of the community complains about it for, like, Plague and Legion. So, really, like, I'm surprised they're buffing this. I think that'll see more play, for sure. But I don't think it will, like, Like, I think you'll only be running this on killers that can really capitalize on it, like obviously Legion and Plague are the ones that come to mind. I don't see you throwing this just on any killer. I don't think this is a like top tier slowdown perk still. Like, I think it's just good. I think it's just decent. Okay, what's this? Scourge Hook Monster Shrine. I'm so happy about this. Long have we waited. Monster Shrine has received a rework. This perk will now convert all basement hooks to Scourge hooks. Oh, interesting. Okay. Additionally, Scourge Hook will now grant 10, 15, 20% faster entity progression, but only if the killer is not within 24 meters. Okay, I see. I mean, you could possibly do a funny like meme build with this, like with like a basement Scourge Hook build. I wonder if that would be interesting. Like Scourge Hook Monster Shrine, Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, Scourge Hook Gift of Pain, and then Agitation. Or like Scourge Hook Monster Shrine, Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, Agitation Iron Grasp. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty interesting. That'd be a pretty good build to try. I would be interested in trying that. Not at all what I thought they were going to change this perk to, but I mean, I don't think that this is going to be game changing. Honestly, what this should just say now converts all hooks to Scourge hooks. Not all basement hooks, all hooks to Scourge hooks. Maybe that's a little bit too much because of the faster entity progression, but that will pressure people to make saves faster and get off gens. Honestly, round of applause. This perk's pretty cool. I don't think it's going to be, again, I don't think it's going to be like insanely powerful. I think you can definitely do some fun builds with this for sure. Survivor perk buffs. I'm excited to see this one. Okay. Calm Spirit. In addition to Calm Spirit's current effects, you can now open chests, cleanse, and bless totems silently. Oh, that's garbage. At 40, 30. Oh, reduced speed. Reduced speed. Yeah, that means it's like slower speed. That's awful. Wait, what? That seems bad. How's that a buff? Oh, I guess reduced speed. What? Like the rate in which they do it's like less. No, it's more. Reduced speed means it's longer. This is a very confusing. How is this a buff? Like this seems like who wants to open chests, cleanse, and bless totem silently? That's bad. Like okay, this will never see play again. Like I mean, it already sees very minimal play. This will not increase the amount of play. Like no one's looking for these specific advantages. But anyways. After months of studying, saboteurs can now identify Scourge hooks. Their auras are shown in yellow when a survivor is being carried. Use the information to your advantage to prevent Scourge hooks from being activated. Okay, that's cool. That's actually really cool. I like that. That's awesome. Because I was thinking about that. I was like, I mean, survivors can be observant and like identify Scourge hooks on their own, but the fact that the perk does it for them now is even better. That's so much more fun because you can set up a Sabo play against Scourge hook perks. That's awesome. So you can set up more consistent Sabo plays. It's awesome. Botany knowledge healing speed increase. I like that. I like that a lot. That's cool. So now it's an even more versatile healing speed buff. Upon being unhooked, like I could see you running this over We'll Make It now. Like obviously over Autodidact. Like I could see you running this more than, because like in my brain We'll Make It was just strictly the best like healing perk, like one of the best. Like because it lasts like a minute and a half or something, and that's insane. But the fact this lasts the whole trial and it's 50%. Like it halves your healing speeds. Like it's 8 seconds now. That's insane. That's so good. That's really, really nice. So that is the effective. I just realized that's Circle of Healing speed. So now you just have Circle of Healing. You're walking around with Circle of Healing, but you can't heal yourself. Obviously, you can heal like you if you can't have a med kit. But that's the same speed increase as Circle of Healing. Interesting. Okay, cool. Upon being unhooked, gain the endurance status effect for 60 to 70 to 80 seconds. Wait, what? Excuse me? What? Upon being unhooked, gain the endurance status effect for 80 seconds. What? The endurance effect is lost upon performing a conspicuous action. While this is a lengthy endurance effect, any game progression action will cancel it prematurely, making it purely for evading the killer after being unhooked. So basically, this is the ultimate don't tunnel me perk now. Because if a killer tunnels you and you have this, you can loop them for like a minute, get hit after wasting their time, and still have another health state. So this is like, yeah. So basically, I think the purpose of this perk is to psychologically ingrain the mentality of no tunneling in killers. That's so long. But like, can't you just like run after the killer? This seems awesome with Medal of Man also. Can we just talk about that for a second? If you slap on Medal of Man, have this and start running after the killer, like who's chasing another injured survivor, easy stack for you. That seems pretty cool, but you're wasting time. So, I mean, it's kind of more memey, but like, that's kind of cool actually too. Easy mom stacks, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I think this perk is cool. I don't see it being particularly powerful. I mean, maybe I'm missing something here. Because, I mean, if you're doing a generator healing somebody at doing any of those conspicuous actions, it's negated immediately. I mean, obviously, if you're being chased off the hook, this is huge because it gives you, like, it basically, like, instantly heals you. Lucky Break. This perk is great for escaping a chase, but the effect quickly runs out. We're giving survivors a way to recharge Lucky Break. Each second spent healing another survivor increases Lucky Break's duration by 1 second. Oh, wow. You could do like a combat medic build with this. This would be really cool. You could do a really fun build with this. I'm definitely going to be making so many builds off these big new perks. Pharmacy used to guarantee an emergency medkit the first time you search a chest, which you'd either hope nobody takes before you need it or hide off in a far off corner like a medkit goblin. Now Pharmacy will activate whenever you're injured, guaranteeing an emergency medkit when you search a chest. This effect can happen multiple times in one trial. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. That's honestly pretty decent. That's pretty decent, actually. The fact that it activates multiple times in one trial, that's pretty good. That's actually pretty awesome. And it activates whenever you're injured. That's pretty good. And it also makes the looting build a lot nicer, too. So you can just loot items a lot easier now. That's cool. I don't think this is like a huge meta shakeup, but like I think it's nice. Soul Survivor. In addition to hiding your aura, Soul Survivor will now increase your generator repair speed by 75% and your exit gate and hatch action speed by 50%. These effects are only active when you're the last survivor standing. Still pretty garbage, to be honest. That's pretty garbage still. I would never run this. I mean, it's strictly for a meme. I mean the exit gate thing is cool when the killer closes the hatch. Like doubling that time or like reducing that time by 50, so halving it is nice. Like opening it twice as fast is pretty nice. But like I don't want to devote a whole perk slot to that. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather just take the L and die to the killer and then like actually focus on winning in other trials. I don't know. Because it does nothing until your whole team's dead. But the whole point of the game is to try and get as many people as possible because you rely on each other. That's like the Bond quote, right? Where it's like, I need you like all to survive. So it's like, you need your friends to live. So like you want to keep them alive. Why would you want a perk that activates only when all your friends are dead? Like, damn, you know what I mean? Distortion. Let's see this one. For those that like to stay hidden, we've added a way to regain distortion tokens. Gain 1 token for every 30 seconds spent within the killer's radius. Yep, I would run this now. I don't think it's like meta, but I would run this now. The fact that you can replenish your tokens is so nice. So you can like forever avoid barbecue, or you can just forever avoid nurses calling, essentially. That's pretty nice, honestly. Lightweight. In addition to Lightweight's existing effects, your scratch marks will be more sporadic, making you harder to track. Your scratch marks will also fade 5 to 4 to 3 seconds sooner, up from 1, 2, 3. Wow. That actually might be really good. So your scratch marks are more sporadic and they fade 5 to 4 to 3 seconds. So 5 seconds sooner at max level. So when did they start to fade? Isn't it base time like 8 seconds or something like that? So after 3 seconds, your scratch marks are gone? Dude. That's awesome. That's really I think that could see some play for sure. Like that seems pretty decent, to be honest. Deja Vu. To help survivors power the 3 closest generators, Deja Vu will now grant a 5% repair speed bonus to the revealed generators. Okay. I still don't think that's good, but okay. I mean, pretty decent. I'd rather improve thyself, but I mean, yeah, cool, I guess. No One Left Behind. Beyond its current effects, No One Left Behind will grant a 7% movement speed bonus to any survivor on hook. Additionally, the perk now activates when the exit gates are powered rather than opened. I suggested that change. I actually suggested that change. Like I was talking about this perk with like multiple friends and I was like, this should activate when the gates are powered. It would still be bad, but it's like, why is it when they're opened? Like when the end game collapse activates. That's so stupid. I'm so happy that got a buff. Woo! Pog champ. Like that's freaking good, dude. I'm so happy about that. I mean, like you can do like the end game like savior builds now and like actually have this as like a viable option. That's nice. Cool. Okay. We've changed the way Dark Sense works. When generator is powered, Dark Sense activates. The next time the killer comes within 24 meters of you, their aura is revealed for 10 seconds. Dark Sense then activates. Oh, that's pretty cool. That obliterates stealth killer. So do stealth killers still get revealed? Yeah, probably, right? Maybe. Probably? Will that work with undetectable killers? I don't know. Maybe it will. 1 second. I'm going to look into that. 1 second. Yeah, I just checked. So yeah, it does. It doesn't work against stealth killers. So I was like, this would like destroy stealth killers. Like this would be really freaking awesome against like ghost faces and like piggies and stuff like that. But no, it doesn't work on stealth killers. So I don't see a purpose of this perk. This perk seems garbage still. What's the tenacity changes? Like what's wrong with tenacity, bro? In addition to the current effects, tenacity now reduces your grunts of pain by 75% when in the dying state. Oh, it's like Iron Will when you're down. Okay. Combined with the increased crawling speed, this perk will now be more effective in crawling away from the killer. I mean, yes and no. I don't think this is like huge, okay, but like nice, I guess. Hope is great for those who like to make late game saves, but the limited duration caused it to expire at an inconvenient time. Since Perk is only useful at the end of the what is only useful at the end of the match, we've removed the duration entirely. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Dude, you can make sick plays with that. Honestly, even if you get unhooked, right? You get unhooked and have hope, bro, you're gone. That stacks with the additional haste off of the hook. Bro, you're gone. You're zooming. Like, you're zooming away from that hook. That's awesome. Overzealous, no idea what this perk does. No idea what this perk even does. Let's see. In its current state, cleansing a totem grants you a repair speed bonus of 6, 7, and 8%. Now that bonus doubles if you cleanse a hex totem. Okay, I guess it's pretty valuable. Oh, we're going to live forever. Let's see. Much like barbecue and chili, this perk features a massive blood point bonus. We do not want blood points to dictate which perks are used, so we remove the bonus blood points from We're Gonna Live Forever. Okay, so now the perk just like helps you pick up slugs faster. I guess it's still good, but I don't think it's like meta. I mean, we're not looking for meta. We're looking for fun things, I guess, in these kind of sections, or in this kind of section here. But yeah, I guess picking up. Oh, wait, is there more to this? This change will be at the same time as the progression overhaul, which is expected to cut the grind by 75%, with matchmaking incentives providing an additional revenue or avenue for blood points. Additionally, actions that previously granted a token will activate the perk's secondary effect. Okay. While active, healing a survivor from the dying state grants them the endurance effect. Oh, it gives them soul guard. That's actually pretty good. Like that's pretty awesome. That secondary effect is really cool. Because if you slug somebody and you have a stack of We're Gonna Live Forever off of hooking somebody, you can pick them up and then give them soul guard. That's pretty sweet. That's like Boon Circle of Healing giving everybody self-care. You're giving people soul guard. That doesn't seem broken. That seems actually pretty strong. That seems pretty like relevant. Because they can just pick up the slug. Most like 10 out of 10 times killers chase this, like not 10 out of 10 times, not all the time, but 9 out of 10 times killers will chase the slug that just got picked up and down them again because like it's just free down. It's a free down and free pressure. But if you have this perk, not only are you picking them up twice as fast, but you're granting them soul guard. That's pretty damn decent. Like, I would consider running that now. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We realize that following these changes, a new meta will surely rise. We'll be closely monitoring the performance of each updated perk to ensure that none fall too far out of line. Moving forward, we hope to make the meta-shaking updates like this a more frequent part of our plans in order to keep the gameplay feeling fresh. Appreciate that. Yeah, because this is, for those of you that don't know, this has never really happened in Dead by Daylight's history. Like, this has never happened in this game's history ever. Which was like absurd for people who've played like League and like Overwatch and stuff like that, who've come to this game. Like the fact that the meta's existed for the past like 6 years and it's been the same is pretty like odd. So I would really greatly immensely appreciate if they do more periodic updates like this, because I love, like, my bread and butter, like I play Magic the Gathering. So my bread and butter is finding like weird perk synergies and making builds and stuff like that and making like whole structured synergistic things. That makes my brain feel so happy, and seeing it like work, it makes my brain feel like so happy. I'm really glad that they're just changing it and that we get to explore a new kind of perks to test and new aspects of the game to explore. And they've done like a whole bunch of quality of life things for Killer and for Survivor as well. Like I really am excited to see what this is going to be. And I really think this is going to be the golden age. Like this is going to be the golden age of Dead by Daylight. I'm pretty confident in that based on what I'm seeing. I think a lot of people are super excited for this content. I can't wait for them to like release this update. So I'll definitely be making a bunch of videos related to the perks and just exploring the fundamental changes of the game and seeing how, like, what my opinions are on that and just kind of like vocalizing my inner thoughts about it. So very excited for that. Yeah, and with that being said, we're going to conclude this. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, comment, and a subscribe. I would really greatly appreciate that. We're trying to grow this channel, trying to make a nice positive community here. We can all share our ideas. And yeah, absolutely have a wonderful rest of your day and take the best of care. Stay positive out there, folks. Bye now.